Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Halos podcast. I am Jacob Firmage, and today we are joined by a member of the Sporting Tribune covering the Angels, Baseball America covering Angels prospects, and author of In Search of Millionaires. Book you can find on
Oh,
Amazon, so definitely a good read, worth finding. Try to get it in focus here. I believe I got mine on Amazon, so definitely worth checking out. Taylor, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for the plug. I did
Yeah.
not expect that. That was
Yes.
a nice plug. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I'm weather's finally good. It's not stupid hot. I actually wore a overcoat today, so yeah, things are good, man. How about you?
Doing good. Excited lately with the Angels. We're going to touch on some of this stuff, but a lot more transparency. I think Katie Wu just posted today something with John Mozeliak. Uh, Seems like a different time for the Angels fans. Actual little bit of optimism, maybe a reason to actually see that. A big reason is the jump we've seen across the board, different outlets. The Angels ranking is slowly shifting upward, starting to see actual time given to develop, not as rushed. Good to see. Definitely curious for you as what's that next step going to be for them? Is it just continuing to let the guys develop, or for you, is it kind of just continuing to add the talent? Obviously, both critical, but do you think that there's anything Mosaic might actually be able to put in place that helps them each level, or is it just continuing to actually give them the time?
I think talent's the most important thing. So I mean, at the start of the year, I might be burning a bridge here. I don't know, but Perry told Tyler Bremner that he was not going to see the big leagues this year. He'd have to earn it, and I think there was already at the start of this season there was already the step back in terms of retention on the aggressive promotions and things, and I think you saw it. Tyler just wasn't going to leave Tri City, or for the time being, and obviously he's with Rocket City now. But the Angels were they started the year with a plan of being much less aggressive on their promotions and taking their time with development. And it was needed. Absolutely was needed. I mean, Zach Neto obviously is an anomaly when it comes to this, and he's going to inflate some of your war figures from the draft, and you're going to say we have had the most successful drafts. It's like, well, you have an anomaly of a talent, but it's yeah. I mean, I look at a guy like Nolan Sean. Well, this maybe should have been his rookie year. Maybe last year should have been his rookie year. Logan O'Hoppe, I think that just didn't work out. I think that's something where it just didn't work out. A guy that needed to take a step back, and there wasn't a spot for him to take a step back because they needed him and they were planning on contending. Right. Once they realized they weren't contending, that's when he kind of moved him back. Reed Detmers had the step back in the big leagues when he went to relief that led to lead forward. So yeah, I mean, some of it worked, some of it didn't. A lot of people talked about it. The entire industry talked about it, no doubt about that. But I think it was something that was already in place before Mozeliak came in, something that Perry had registered. And now you really have to look at the talent and build the talent. Because no matter what, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but like I look at Nimmala, and that's such a high ceiling player that you've needed for a long time. You've needed that ceiling player, but Arjun comes with a lot of risk, comes with a lot of variance. So getting guys that have the ceiling with a little less, like you say, you just got to keep building away at the ceiling, keep building towards that ceiling, bring in better talent, and that's what's really going to be the thing that puts you into your new 5 year window. As much as that may suck to hear, it's another 5 year window.
Yeah, no, not what you wanted to hear, considering this was supposed to be the start of it. But before we move on to the top 30, actually, you mentioned Nolan Shanuel. I think he gets a lot of attention because he's not the prototypical power guy. So you kind of just brought him up here and it made me think according to Fangraphs, he's roughly a little over a one WAR player a year, weighted runs created, plus he's, about a little above average, which the Angels, even with Pujols at first, didn't have dating back to about 2016, roughly. I know he had that resurgent year, in St. Louis where he blasted a 148 for that, but uh, you know, is there more there? Is it fine to have Shanuel just being, a 110 weighted runs created guy at first base? Obviously Angels trying to look to get a little more contact oriented, it feels in some areas and some new players. Can they actually succeed with that? Is he a guy that could actually kind of maybe stick around surprisingly? I know a lot of fans, want to talk about, well, why is he still there? I think that, a lot of people curious about that with his power numbers, but just curious your thoughts on Shanuel. Is there another little bit of another level, or is he kind of where he is?
I mean, production comes in a variety of ways. There's all kinds of ways to talk about production and how you get it. I'm not going to blame Nolan on this one. You need power no matter what. And yes, first base is the profile where you want the power to come from, but you're not getting it from third base. You're not getting it from right field. You're not getting it from left field. Joe Adell obviously was, but like, I'm sorry, Wade Meckler is not a power hitter as much
No.
as we all love Wade, right? Third base, Peraza and Vaughn and whoever. Denzer might have some power in there, but he can't hit right now. And I don't know, you've got to get him going right. He's 22 years old, another one, give him some time. But yeah, you need power anywhere. So the fact that your first baseman isn't hitting for power, no one's hitting for power, man. I mean, Logan was the one that was driving the offensive force on that. Yeah, Nolan needs to hit for more power. Plain and simple, he has to hit for more power. But he's being productive. Like you
Yes.
said, 110 weighted runs created plus, 10% better than the rest of the league. You want to see the problem, I think, with Nolan is how you project him. He was a first round pick. I think he went like 12th overall, somewhere early teen pick, right? Early teen pick. You take a first baseman with an early teen pick, you expect him to be Nick Kurtz kind of level of expectations,
Yeah.
offensive production wise. That's the problem is you've got Kyle Manzardo in Cleveland, right? Or did I haven't followed Kyle in a long time, but I remember Kyle Manzardo was like a third, fourth round pick.
Hmm.
You can get first basemen that produce in the second, third, fourth round picks. Nolan was a team pick, and you don't blame Nolan for that. That's the thing I think is you're expecting a lot more out of Nolan, and he's just not going to give it to you. I'm sure he could run into contact base solely. He can run into 20 home runs at the peak of his career, and that's fine. But you want him hitting 20 every year as a first baseman. So I guess I don't really have an answer for you. I think he's being productive.
He is,
It's
absolutely.
just you want to see him be productive in a different way, I guess, is the way that you kind of want. And I don't think it's going to happen.
No, and the next topic was going to be the top 30 prospects in a way to kind of get over there, maybe not in the exact order of one down, but uh, getting a first baseman a little later, Gavin Grahovic. Please help me with the pronunciation because I'm messing that up badly right there. But probably not a third baseman long term. I think you guys have him profiled more as a first baseman. Um, but that's that power you said you can find a little bit later if he finds a way to make enough contact and get there to that power. Um, but if touching on him, if you don't mind, as we move into that 30 prospects, could he actually end up landing at third long term? And then what are your thoughts on that bat? And will, enough contact be made as he gets going here?
Yeah, Gavin's obviously a local product. His dad Mike is well known in the area. Gavin's well known in the area. The Grahovac family is very popular right here. I just wrote an article about him on Baseball America. He loves the Angels, man. He's the guy that wants to bring a title back, and you hear it from all these kids, right? You're like, oh, I want to bring a title back. Everyone says it. This is a kid that really believes it. He grew up 5 minutes from the stadium. As for third base, let's see how his arm recovers. I think his actions are fine.
Mhm.
It's not about the actions, but he had shoulder surgery and his arm just hasn't recovered well enough to really get that throwing motion. He used to be, most of these kids played shortstop in high school. Gavin did, and he wasn't a shortstop, but I think he could pinch at third base. And it's one of those you have to wait and see just because he didn't do it for the last year and change. But yeah, first base, the power plays. I want to see him be a little more selective in the box than he has been to start pro ball, but also we're a week and a half into his pro career at this point, and he's just out there swinging. That's the fun part. You go out and watch Gavin down at in Rancho or whatever. He's just out there swinging, and he's like, "Screw it, I get a strike. I'm going for it." Um, some swing and miss that has to be refined, and you hope the hit tool comes around to be at least average. But that's a guy that's he's got all fields power. It's plus plus raw power. So it's a flip. It's a full reverse of what Nolan is. Where you're hoping that Nolan can maybe get to some fringe near average power. And with Gavin, you're hoping that he has a fringe near average hit tool, and it's a plus plus on the flip side of it. So, yeah, I probably some years away. I think he's a bit distanced. I know that he performed in the SEC, played well over at A&M, but he's another guy. You got to wait and see what you got on him. I think, dream outcome for him would be something, keeping it in-house kind of thing would be a Mark Trumbo kind of player, which obviously tons of value when it came to Mark.
Yeah. No, it was, and it's funny you mentioned him playing shortstop. I think back to I think it was Gloss played shortstop at UCLA, and clearly
Yeah.
one of those guys, like you said, these guys are so ahead of most of the talent along the way that they play those positions and end up, having to actually find a different home. But now back up a little bit to the top side. Angels add obviously some real impact potential in Arjun Nimmala. That trade with Jose Soriano going back to Toronto. It was funny, it was like a day or two later, I think it came out that the Twins tried making a late swing after he had gone there to Toronto, offering Culpepper potentially. Uh, in exchange. So it made me wonder, had that been on the table, first off, how do you look at Nimmala, and then at that comparison where maybe you had an option of either or, Culpepper maybe a little bit more contact. He's closer, obviously, playing with the Twins now, but how maybe those two compare just for perspective for fans.
Yeah, Culpepper, I remember him at Kansas State. I remember him in college because the Angels loved him.
Okay.
Like they were thinking about taking him way higher. I think that was the Seanwell draft, and they were talking about taking him up at that team pick and trying to swing it or swing him down to the next pick. They loved him, but Culpepper and Nimmala, you just need the ceiling. It didn't matter between the two for me personally. Is you just needed that ceiling, and I think Arjun is the one that has the ceiling. Like you said, the hit tool is the one that's going to have a lot of question, but this is a kid that can play short. He's undeniably a great athlete. The swing is pretty explosive. It's very explosive. Tons of uphill, so he's going to get the ball in the air. He's going to drive the ball. I think with Kalen, you're a little more linear. It's more of a line drive swing. I haven't kept tabs with him as much, but you're gonna have to watch that. But yeah, Arjun should be the shortstop of your future. I think undeniably he should be the shortstop of your future. And but take your time with him. There's no reason to, you've got Zach in place already. Even if you trade Zach away, you're not expecting to be good for the next few years here. So take your time with Arjun. Let him get the reps, get that hit tool to come around, explain to him what the situation is so he understands it. You're good to go. But I've heard great things about the kid on a makeup scale. Um, I love the return for Jose. I thought Jose would bring back a lot less. With his, he has two arm surgeries, elbow surgeries. That's a real struggle at times. A lot of teams that I was at least talking to said that was a deterrent. Is that he is one throw away from not even be able to pick up a fork. So there was some risk there. So you got to bring back the risk with it, and I thought they got a great return. Micheletti and the kid down in Florida that pitched really well. Good slice, good arm, fun arm.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right. And then after a little technical difficulty there, jumping back in. So after Nimmala, though, I mean, it's pretty clear, I think, along the way, Bremner, depending, there was a little bit of a fall on some ratings for him. Not necessarily anything he's done wrong or anything, just some influx into the little bit middle portion of the list for top 100. How's his development looked to you and from what you're hearing from people?
It's okay. It's okay. There's no denying the talent. The fastball changeup is special. The fastball traits are improving. The college ball to the pro ball, right, is going to be the big gap there. And a lot of his IVB numbers are at least staying consistent to a degree. So the fastball is playing. He just doesn't really have a breaking ball. He doesn't have anything that's really glove side weapon. And he's going to need one. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So that's why I think the fall is there. Is just there hasn't been that step forward necessarily in seeing the breaking ball enhance. He switched from a curve to he had a really good slider in his like as a sophomore in college. He had a really good slider. No idea where it went. So I mean he's tried different grips. They've got him on a cutter slider variance that everyone else is doing. A lot of guys are doing that. Trying to get into sweeper motion to a degree, but um, I would do whatever kind of confidence you could find there. Is find something he's confident in throwing. Find something he can land for strikes. I think the projection of Michael Wacha is starting to come to a little more fruition because Michael Wacha was the same guy. Michael
Mhm.
Wacha, obviously the start of his big league career into the playoffs was kind of Trey Savage like, right? It was like, oh my God, this is the best pitcher of all time. And then it was like, wait, he doesn't throw a breaking ball. I'm a little worried that's what's going on with Tyler, but makeup's off the charts, advanced strike thrower, everything's there. Was pitching well in Tri-City. See what he's going to be tested against big league players because Double A is big league talent. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how he proceeds. But I would say him breaking the rotation next year might be pushed back a little bit. That might be one. But yeah, no reason to believe he's still not one of the 100 best prospects in baseball. Still the best arm in the farm system. Some argument, maybe argument for me on that one, but
Yeah.
has nothing to do with anything that Tyler did. Nothing that Tyler did wrong. So,
No, and he's in a tough spot, I think, honestly. You look at him, he's gonna forever be kind of linked by Angels fans to Cade up in Seattle, uh, going right before him. And I think that's, it's an unfair projection
well,
to
I mean,
kind of compare the two.
Cade had a crap fastball in college.
Mhm.
It was. Are you going to be able to develop the fastball or not? Because his fastball sucked, and Seattle developed a fastball, and now he's fast tracking his way to being rookie of the year. If he, no, I mean, yeah, you could have gone with Cade. You could have gone with Liam. I would have liked, obviously, Seth, right? Seth is the one that everyone wants, and for the right reason, but Angels weren't taking Seth. I mean, they were very open about that. Like, Seth was not the right-handed high school pitcher that was worth taking second overall, in their opinion, which, right, wrong, whatever it is, right? That's fine. I mean, Hunter Green's the only other guy that's done it, right? So, um, you can you can complain all you want. Cade Anderson was not what he is now, and Tyler Bremner, yeah, maybe had better options. You could have, but in the long run of things, projection wise, if you get CJ Gray to hit, you get other guys to hit, you did fine.
No, absolutely. It still has potential to be a great
It
draft, and
also was a horrible draft. It was a terrible draft.
it didn't
Like on a
play out
talent scale,
nearly
garbage.
nearly the level I think that was people were hoping for. You Angels finally on that top, couple pick, and that's the draft happens to be in, surging a little bit right now, and while Oakland falls and a few others, so hopefully that doesn't affect next year's draft, which looks to be quite a bit better than that year they had number
It'll
two.
be fun. Next year's a
But
fun one.
and someone you and Jared Timms actually mentioned the last time we had you on was Hayden Alvarez as a big, arrow next to his name. Watch him next year, and you guys were spot on there. Uh, Industry wise, is he getting that same kind of up arrow that the Angels fans are obviously going to give him because we're excited to have a few position players to be excited on. Maybe a little power limitation there, but where do you stand on Hayden Alvarez?
I was very surprised he didn't crack either top 100 update. I was very surprised based on what I'm hearing, based on industry consensus, and actually from those that do the rankings as well. I was very surprised. So end of the year, maybe some graduates come in. I think maybe he has a chance of being a top 100, but that should say where the industry is on him is that people see him as a top 100 prospect. Now, just because he doesn't have the claim of title doesn't mean they don't see that still. There's obviously questions, but I mean, you want to see him be a little better on breaking stuff. He'll chase break. The numbers don't say exactly what it is. He swings a lot. He likes to swing, but he's smart up there. Really good fielder. Obviously, going to be an impact fielder, impact base runner. I would call it maybe a 55 plus hit tool. He's got some sneaky power. I don't even think it's sneaky power. He looks like Julio Jones out there. Remember that old Falcons wide receiver? It's like he's a huge kid, so there's power coming. I mean, it's as simple as this: is like you ask for comparisons every now and then, and everyone and their mother is going to say, "This is Julio Rodriguez. This is a baseline for Julio Rodriguez." And I'm like, I can't come out and say that this kid is Julio Rodriguez because I don't think Hayden Alvarez is going to be in T-Mobile commercials in 5 years,
No,
right? Like, I'm sorry, I understand that Angels fans don't like Julio Rodriguez. I don't know why. The
he's
guy's
a superstar.
guy's amazing. I love Julio Rodriguez, but it's just like I can't come out and say that Hayden Alvarez is Julio Rodriguez because Julio's a freaking superstar, man.
Yes,
Like,
he is.
he's one of the better players in baseball. Like, I'm sorry, Hayden is not going to be that. At the same time, it makes total sense when you see him in the box. If you went and watched him play, it all makes sense. So who's to say that, one more little strength gain and one more better swing decision and all this, who knows? Might be a superstar.
Yeah, he's one of those guys right now. You're watching that up there, and like you said, maybe a little bit more strength added. It's one of those. I don't think there will be a full season length lockout next year, but a lot of prospects, maybe guys that are now here, got had that year off during the COVID year. Really hope we don't see any kind of developmental stalling with any type of lockout next year. Again, I don't think it'll get that to that point. Really, at least maybe that's just hoping, but he's one of those guys that you just want to keep seeing on the field. More and more time on the field is only going to be good for him, figuring out those last little tweaks. And no, sky's the limit there. And you look at that, you look at Nimmala, you start seeing some real excitement for the everyday players. We've had some pitching, the for all the crap the Angels get about their pitching development, they've quietly the last year or two, even with Perry's tenure still, they were starting to get a little bit of some improvements there and seeing some fun names. Slowinski out there in the Arizona League looked great. He's not, maybe not, depending on who you ask, the top lefty in the farm. But he definitely has some fun tools. Had some great chase rates, it looked like down there. I think you can put out a few messages about some of his numbers he was getting down there. Maybe you can give us a little insight there on how you feel about him.
Um, I will always lean position player because of the everyday value, but it took a lot of discussion, a lot of discussion. I argued him as a top 100 prospect. I argued him as the top prospect in the system. I think he is special, a remarkably special arm. Such an efficient mover, excellent athlete, outstanding on mound athlete, and he's got good stuff. He's got 4 pitches, knows how to locate them. They're all average to plus. You just don't get guys like this that often. And I know, he's not Mizorowski or Paul Skeens throwing 100 miles per hour out there, but this is a special arm. So yeah, this is a guy. Proximity is going to play part of it to the degree of having him because he is fourth on our
Yeah,
prospect rankings over there, behind Arjun, Bremner, and Hayden. But I definitely made the argument as him as the top prospect, man. I think he is really special. He's young. He's definitely young, and there's some growing pains to be had and stuff. But he's gonna, and I think the injury, he has the oblique injury that really. I expected him at Rancho. I think a lot of people expect him at Rancho. He's gonna probably throw it instructs, is what it sounds like.
okay.
Or at least that's an option. Is he'll be throwing it, but his season is essentially shut down. But yeah, if he was throwing at Rancho and he was showing what he's been showing, I don't care what the performance is. This still, in my opinion, maybe the top prospect in the system. He is very special. I think he's going to be a heck of a guy that to eat innings and eat valuable innings at the top to mid part of the rotation in the Angels' future down the road.
Yeah, and it's one of those arms you're watching, like you said, and you just there's something there, like you said, is maybe not he doesn't throw 100, and that's fine. And then you mentioned two things with him that actually play into the next guy I was going to ask about, Rancho and just staying healthy. Talon Haley,
Yeah.
left-handed arm there. The other one I kind of mentioned, depending on who you ask. I mean, talent-wise, I think that you could compare them equally as who's going to be who future, but health-wise, obviously just him being out on the field as much as he's been this year out in Rancho has been significant. I think that's going to be his best thing moving forward is if he can stay healthy. Soriano, you mentioned that some diminishment there with 2 arm surgeries. He's best story probably in all of minor league baseball or near there at least. What have your thoughts been, or what have you heard about him down there in Rancho this summer?
Yeah, I was excited to see him. Obviously, the human interest part of it is really interesting. Elbow surgery is coming into high school as a freshman, then deals with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Very close to my heart with my family and stuff, and then recovers from it, learns how to throw right-handed during the process, and then has to have an internal brace thrown in, which the internal brace is a little better kind of thing, a little better, but yeah, there's some extreme risk there because another guy that has the injuries, but. Um, I saw him twice at the start of the year and wrote him up, normal. Like, yeah, he's got some serious projection. He's a very good, he's a good pitcher. Decent athlete, gets down the mound well, everything like that. And, maybe a little stiff in his delivery, but gets down well and throws good stuff. It's good stuff. He kind of has an idea of where it's going. And then, Josh Norris calls me and he says, "Hey, like, have you seen Haley?" And I'm like, "Yeah, twice." And he's like, "Why is he not a top five prospect?" And I'm like, "You must have seen him on a good day." So I went and saw him the next week, and he was throwing at least a 60 fastball. He was borderline 70 slider, a 60 curveball. Maybe the changeup isn't there, and he's throwing quality strikes. Just a little bit, got in his head a little bit, and you've seen it. He can't get out of like the fourth inning. Once he runs into trouble in the fourth, he gets in his head a little bit, and he'll have a four pitch walk kind of thing. But uh, man, I it's a special arm talent. It's a really special arm talent, and it took the year to see it because the slider was not the same. Slider was good. He was throwing the curve a ton, and the curve was good, and he rode up the curve. But I hadn't seen a slider like that. Like I said, I looked at the scout behind me. I said, "That's got to be a six, right?" And he says it's closer to a seven than it is a five. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's." I mean, that's the argument I'm going to have. Fastball played to all quadrants. Um, he could cut it, he could sink it, he could move it in different ways. It was, I mean, I think he ended up giving up 4 runs or something like that, and it was still one of the better outings I've seen in a long time. So yeah, impressive arm talent. Just got to piece it all together. That's why he's at the back end of the top 10 instead of the front end of the top 10. But gosh, what a talent and remarkable kid too. I mean, that's the thing is not that any of it matters to anyone, right? But like these kids are good kids, right? You hear that they're good. You hear that they're good. There's a reason that's mentioned. So great kid. Obviously, he's been through it more so than any of us have. So yeah, I like Talon Haley a lot to say the least. I would say with the lefties, right?
Yeah.
Slawinski and Haley, the needle is moving with the farm system with those two guys alone, and those are not external
No,
ads from the last year.
no, and kind of some of those other ads going to kind of to the draft. Angels first rounder. You may not have been surprised. People close to the Angels may not have been surprised, but going Jared Grindlinger. They also didn't take him as a pitcher, which I think there was more I was reading, at least from an outsider's perspective, where people kind of were higher on the arm than maybe the bat, at least as of right now. For him though, taken as an outfielder, you try that first. How does he project moving forward? Is he someone that you're just trying to see add some strength over the fall into the next season? So young, 17 at the time of the draft, I believe, and long ways away, but definite upside there. And kind of wondering there where he profiles as a bat moving forward.
Yeah, I was talking to a scout literally yesterday about this. That's followed Jared and Trent for years. He knows the family, and um, him and I both agree that his future's on the mound. I saw Jared a handful of times over the last few years. I don't think I've ever seen him swing the bat. And I went back and looked through my video. Right, I went back. I saw him swing the bat twice. It was foul balls. He walked every time I went and saw him. He walked. Um, he's so pitch selection. I don't know if it's passive or if it's really good swing decisions. I couldn't tell you because it's high school ball. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, kid that needs to add strength, no doubt about it. He's lean, he's real thin, but there's room to fill in the body. He's got a big body, 6'3", 6'4". Um, there's I've gotten 2 comps on him, and if he ends up as either of them, it's a pretty good ball player. The one that keeps coming back is Lars Nootbaar. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty, mid to front of the lineup kind of guy. I think the speed is going to be the thing that kind of dogs him because Jared is just not that fast.
Yeah.
He's not that fast, and with the glove, he's going to have to learn how to play the outfield pretty well. But yeah, I mean, it's when you talk about hitting, there's power to be had in there, and it's really high end bat to ball skills. Um, See if the swing decisions are real. See if there's limited swing and miss. The other guy that came up was Cody Bellinger. I mean, that's an MVP, right?
Mhm.
That's a multi-time All-Star MVP caliber hitter that swings from first to left or first to center field. So I don't think that the Bellinger comp was, but if that's the rotation, if you get him into that rotational force, getting him circular with the swing and everything like that, and a little steep, and he continues to have those bat to ball skills because the foundation's there. You see his hands he's got a lower launch angle, so you can see him getting the ball in the air, and no doubt about that. The pitching and hitting thing, that divide really occurred this spring. A lot of people saw him over the summer, believed that he could hit, and then this spring, that really, really jumped. There's a big jump on that end. So we'll see. I definitely thought he was a pitcher instead of a hitter. That's me. We can live with that. We'll see how that goes. As for taking him 11th overall, um, yeah, I'm sure there's guys that I could argue. I'm sure there's guys that I could argue the other way. So I think it was fine, Jared at 11 or 12th overall, 12th overall. Slot value, yeah, it all worked out. I expected them to. I think that there was a lot of proving things with this draft. At least from before Moat came in, I think Perry was going to look at the high schoolers, right? Prove some things.
Mm.
I think that the model did some dictating on this. Maybe not the first one. You never let the model. At least you hope that you're not letting the model jump the first round kind of thing. But obviously, being one of the youngest first rounder in the history of the draft, right, is going to be pretty big on the model. It's going to pop. So yeah, I'm interested to see what it is. I think he has to earn it. That's why his rankings wise, um, this was a little bit of a debate in the email chains. Is like, where do you have him? And I had him lower more on the sake of you have to earn it.
Yeah.
Like I have to see you do this, right? And you have a lot of questions that are coming with you. I mean, I love Jared. I texted him the day after the draft, and hey, way to go, kid! Hey, I had a boy, and Jared's an awesome kid, great family. Trent's going to be a heck of a ball player wherever he ends up next year. But yeah, I want to see him earn it, and I liked a few guys ahead of it. I think is why the rankings is going to reflect that.
Yeah, no, when I saw the name, I figured it was originally because I was out driving. I thought it was going to be, listed two-way player, give him some time in the instructs to maybe swing the bat. But like you said, primarily thought that was going to lean back towards the mound in the next year or so as his main focus point. But they went changing the approach a little bit. They've had a lot of swing and miss the last few years. We can all turn on a game and see that pretty evidently. But Jaron Advincula, second baseman, profiles with really good defense, obviously great contact ability, can move pretty well. He's going to be a fast mover, I assume, and kind of just gonna hopefully make this so it's not too long for you here on this one, but gonna be someone moves quick, second base. That's kind of where he's gonna land. Not gonna be questions of where he's gonna move to or anything, correct?
I mean, uh, yeah, the arm is going to dictate it. It's a it's a below average arm. We'll just go with that. He can make throws to first base. I Yeah, you could probably play him in left. You could probably play him in the outfield because he's a plus runner. Um, it's elite bat to ball skills. He's got 270s in the bag. He's got elite speed, elite contact skills. I'd like to see more impact from the bat, and we'll see what kind of happens there. It's lower tier bat speed, so we'll see how it goes. But he's got some juice in the box. He's not going to hit 400. He's not Luis Arias as much as people want to make him out to be. But I mean, dream scenario, right? Absolute dream scenario would be like Jeff McNeil, which that is a really good ball player if that's
Yeah.
what it becomes. I think he's Adam Frazier, and or that type of player is an Adam Frazier type,
Yeah.
and kind of a dime a dozen to a degree, a Joe Panic, kind of thing where you get those kind of guys and dime a dozen to a degree. But at the same time, those guys they end up being valuable players. So I would have liked to have seen more value out of that pick. Also, like they took two other guys after that I feel like are very similar profiles, extremely similar profiles. Jaron's going to be the better of the group because of the ability to make contact. But yeah, in my opinion, if you are a second baseman, you need to have extreme value. Apologies for the technical errors on my end. But yeah, I think if you're isolated to second base, your value is real diminished. So I would test him out in the outfield, and maybe he can't control the running game from the outfield, but he's not going to control the running game from anywhere else. So I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. And talking about controlling the running game, Rocket City right now has what I can only imagine is the best defensive duo at catcher. Cozart and Juan Flores, the last two main ones I want to talk about in the top 30 for now. That duo, they're going to kind of slowly move together. I know you're going to want the young arms working with them. Mozeliak has mentioned that he wants these arms with catchers they can trust, help them game plan, get through the game, the tough situations. We're looking a few years in the future, obviously, but is that type of duo something that could work as a full platoon situation between the two? Is one ahead of the other in any, major enough aspect that we could see them a little quicker? And just your thoughts on those two catchers right now.
Yeah, I mean, I had to split it. Obviously, you see in the rankings kind of how I did it. Jacob hits from the left side, man. It's as simple as that, right? He hits from the left side. There are not a lot of guys that do that. Um, and I think you asked me about is, like who Castro was the
Yeah,
guy that you were
Jason
asking about, and
Castro.
it's like you can't project this guy to be a 10-win player in the long run. He's depthy because the bat's just not there, but the fact that he does hit left-handed and his splits do lean fairly well to the right-handed pitchers, which you're going to see a ton of in the big leagues. Yeah, he's got a shot to be an everyday guy, just because of the splits and the platoon. But Juan Flores, as much so, I mean, I go back watching Jacob Cozart when NC State won their regional, and I was like, man, that is a leader. That's a guy that he was. I was laughing because I remember him. He was telling everybody to shut up because they were taking the photo, and he was getting everybody together. He's like, guys, this is a big deal, and like you could hear him. He's like, we're having this for the rest of our lives. This photo, and I'm just like, this guy's funny, man. Like this guy, this guy's a leader. Like he's funny, but that's what you want from a backstop. And I love Cozart. I don't think he's going to hit a ton, but he's got some sneaky power. He can play defense. Juan Flores surprised me, man. Um, I think he's a better hitter than people are making him out to be. And glove wise, it's special. He controls the running game. He controls the game. The game is always in front of him, and he sees the game, the broad strokes. I mean, you're talking really elite level game vision, ability to control the way the game is played. And he's going to run into home runs, man. It's in there. His swing adjustments are improved. If you actually look at him, it's funny because when he started swinging, he looked like a adult league softball guy, right? It's all upper body, no lower half, barely even pivots. Hips are just sticking in spot. It was pretty funny watching him swing, but you look at him now, the adjustments he's made, his ability to make contact is surprising. His swing decisions are really impressive. The power in the box is really impressive. I think it's like plus raw. Um, I I don't know. I mean, like Juan obviously has to hit to keep getting that prospect status, but yeah, there's a lot of special traits with both of these guys. I leaned in the rankings wise Cozart because of the lefty bat, but you and me, gun to my head, right? Gun to my head, I'm picking Flores every day. I love Juan Flores. And like I said, I love Jake Cozart too, but Juan Flores is my guy.
Yeah,
So,
the Angels have shown a lot of love to Flores. He's been in camp, I think, what, the last 3 years now, and he's so young that just shows how they feel about his
well,
defense.
and if I can, real quick, a
Yeah,
guy
of
that
course.
didn't make my rankings. It, hard to say that. So obviously, Kurt Suzuki is in a pickle. I if he has a job with the Angels next year as manager, I'd be surprised, is a way to put it. And that's not a knock on Kurt. I think Kurt was put into a tricky situation. I also don't think he's done well with his situation. Um, but Kurt, what he did with Juan Flores on a one-on-one level, I think Kurt should, if it's the offer is there and Kurt would take it, him sticking in the organization would be so important for the development of guys like Juan Flores. And then Marlon Quintero is right behind him.
Mhm.
And Marlon Quintero just, it's not flashy. There's not a lot there. The hit tool is weak. The power, I've seen him hit the warning track way too many times and not leave the yard. I love the kid,
Yeah.
but he's like he's tiny. He's like 5'6", swings at everything. Anything that's a strike, he swings at it. I've seen him do the warning track. I've seen him leave the yard, but I really like Quintero a bunch. And Kurt Suzuki, Kurt's, I mean, believe whatever you need to believe, but Kurt is the one that told me that Marlon Quintero is better than Juan Flores. And
That's
take it for what it's worth, right? That's the way I would put it. Take it
no.
for what it's worth.
He he would know working with them, and I don't see why it was never going to be a winning situation this year. Would love to see him stick around in advisory capacity, come out to spring training, continue working because the Angels. That's something they've done well in the international market is the catchers, getting some really strong defensive options who maybe have a little bit there. And you mentioned Quinteros being someone outside of the top 30. Two names that have popped up a lot, at least I've seen people ask about. One being John Wimmer, high school kid at the time of the draft. That has looked good on the surface numbers at least. I think there's someone mentioned some swing and miss recently, still there. But is he someone close to that back end of that top 30 for you, or still has a little bit of ways to go to get into there?
Respectfully to John, because I really like John and he's a great kid. No,
Yeah.
he wasn't. Obviously the performance is loud on paper right now. I think he's still hitting 300
Yeah.
or whatever he's doing, right? And more physical in the box, obviously more physical in the box. You see it. Not a shortstop, not a third baseman, second baseman. Runs okay. Just it's a lot of swing and miss. It's a lot of swing and miss. And I think without looking at the batted ball data and just seeing that he's hitting 300, it's going to be tough to really jump him ahead. Being really, I love John Wimmer. He's an awesome kid. Love talking to him. Really well grounded guy. I mean, military kind of guy. It's interesting chatting him up, but yeah, he was never part of the conversation.
No. And that leads to another guy who I don't think, at least on paper, couldn't find anything really scouting wise for him. He came over in that trade with Nimmala, Eddie Micheletti Jr. The numbers have looked pretty promising. He was what looked to be, more of a college sign type guy. I think it was Virginia Tech. Um, what is there anything really there that gets him towards that back 30? Fourth outfield, probably future is my guess at, possibly maybe a little higher. Have you heard much
Um,
of him?
I feel like he's the kind of guy that forever gets lost because he's good, just not good enough. It's a guy that has a bag of like 45 tools, right? And guys like that make the 40-man roster, but they're the kind of short DFA kind of guys. And maybe I need to give him a little more love. Maybe I need to pay more attention to him. I remember him at VTech, and I remember, kind of he's kind of a linear swing, so he doesn't always get to his power. Because I want to say he has like plus raw, if I'm remembering right. Um, hit ability is there. It's fine. He makes good swing decisions. I just don't think there's like a carrying tool anywhere. Is the big thing, and obviously, like defensively, he's kind of more of just a body out in the outfield. He's a left field first base only, and the glove doesn't really bring any value. So the bat's what you're paying attention to, and if he's not, I think the swing decisions are the thing that's going to keep him afloat. But it's not like he has this great hit tool or this great power product. I think he's a valuable piece to the organization. I would say he's probably like a step below a 4A guy for me. Is probably the way I'd look at it. But who's to say that maybe the Angels saw something they feel like they can unlock? They did the same thing with Jake Monroe, where they drafted him knowing they would unlock something new. Maybe that's what Eddie is, but I didn't see it. So maybe there's something there that I'm missing that
Yeah,
Toronto missed as well.
yeah, no. And like I said, Monroe's one of those guys who that was a big, pretty quick change too, that they were able to get that flip for him done. And, you know, uh, kind of keeping it on the maybe prospects less heralded, maybe not so much. He was formerly a really, high end guy for the Angels. Nelson Rada sitting at AAA. Again, we can keep waiting for the power that's probably never going to come, and saying he needs to add a little bit more strength, a little more of this. What he does is great defense, it seems, runs the bases extremely well and gets the bat on the ball. Not a knock on anyone on the major league roster, but like a guy like Josh Lowe, you've been on a decline for a few straight years. Probably is not around the next time the Angels are a winning club. What is holding Rada back at this point potentially from getting that? Does he need a little bit more time in AAA in your eyes, or is he someone who just kind of at this point he is what he is, and you need to at least give him a shot at the major league roster?
I'd give him a shot. I mean, I don't think the power comes. It's kind of like it's always been like, could this guy get into 30 grade power? And that's what you're looking for is 30 grade. Can this guy literally hit a ball out of a ballpark kind of thing? I don't know if he can. I know we've seen it happen before, but like it's just it is bottom of the scale power, and you can start playing him in a way that works. Because he does a good job of going the other way, and that's an important part of it. Sorry again, technical difficulties on my side,
Yeah,
but yeah, I just you can't profile him as an everyday guy because he's not going to hit the ball out of the park at any point. You're talking sub 5 home runs. You give him 500 plate appearances. I don't think he's going to hit 1% of those are leaving the yard. And that's the problem is you want to see more out of it. You've got to see more out of it to profile him every day. But yeah, I don't see why you don't give him a chance. If you've got a rental sitting there in any part of your outfield, see what you got with this kid. I know that maybe you don't want to get the clock started and get him because he'll be a free if he's playing and he's an everyday player, he's a free agent when he's 25 years old, 26 years old, right? Suddenly Juan Soto kind of guy. No, the drop in the rankings was obviously not only because of guys that were jumping him, but just I called him a faller in one of our updates because he just doesn't hit for power. Now, the strikeouts are evening out because he was striking out a little bit more than he wanted. But yeah, 20 years old for a kid that's a contact specialist, and he's still limiting his strikeouts. So that's a big deal. But you've got to be able to turn on upper 90s fastballs. And I don't know if this kid can turn on it. I think he's going to slice them the other way, slice them the other way. So, yeah, there's questions there. His biggest believers think that he could be a solid player, but obviously the base running value, glove value, no doubt about that. But if you've got nothing to lose, which you have nothing to win right now, put him out there. I'd love to see Nelson out there this year.
Yeah, and another guy who at this point I'm surprised he's not out there. I think there was something with the clock when they sent him back down recently. Uh, Currently, Peraza stopped lighting the world on fire like he was early in the year. And last time up for Christian Moore, I think it was 20 at bats, struck out a ton. Similar to Rada, though, sitting at AAA, and as a fan watching a team that's probably going to end up losing near or over 100 games, why are, in your opinion, is there anything else injury wise or anything that you can tell that's keeping more from the major league roster at this point? Or is he just going to spend the rest of the year at AAA, which would be just shocking to me?
I couldn't tell you. There's no reason he shouldn't be up. Now, I understand he struck out at 50% clip
Yeah.
this year, but you're talking 22 plate appearances. Yeah, he was awful when he was on the big league roster, but that doesn't mean anything. Your entire team, you're going to lose nearly 100 games this year if you don't lose 100 games. What's the use of having a player that you view as your future piece, right? A major part of your future being part of that bad spell. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't think it's a makeup thing. I know some people do want to make it that. It's not. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I maybe the one thing I would say, and this is the problem I have, is like I think he's proven that he's not great on the dirt. Now, obviously, he's had his struggles out in left field, no doubt about that. But like, uh, maybe you've got to put him somewhere where he's comfortable. Maybe second base is where he's comfortable. But realistically, like the only reason I would keep him down is so that he played left field every single day. I don't think he's played left field since he went down.
No, I
So
think it's all been
like
second.
I don't agree with the way that they've been treating him. I don't know if this is Mozeliak. I don't know if it's Perry. I couldn't tell you, but I really feel like Christian's getting the raw end of the deal here. Because I think he should be up with a big league club, and if like I said, if you've told him he's that big key part of your future, you know, prove it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we saw it. I think with Adele, it was also who did the up and down, probably too much time at AAA at times, and rushed him back up every day. And at some point, I want to see these guys get every day at bats, and like you said, put them in the right position, give them a chance to learn if they're at AAA. But would love to see that at the major league level. Try to work out, see if you have it. You have 2 months roughly left. Might as well get them out there. Um, Kind of looking at the ones we may have missed. I know, like I said earlier, Hayden Alvarez was your big riser to watch last year. Any other exciting names we might not have touched on, maybe outside of the top 30 even, who are just young? I know we had some crazy stolen base numbers, whether I think it was names escaping me down in the Dominican Summer
Juan
League.
Cespedes.
Juan Cespedes, him. I think TJ Ford had quite a few stolen bases out at the Arizona complex. A lot of those type of players I feel like at those summer complexes right now. A lot of those just great speed guys. Um, Anyone like those type of names or someone we might be off our radar that we should keep an eye on going in?
Um, I feel like people are paying more attention now than they ever have, so it's hard to sneak a name through, right? I would say there's two names that come up often as like the breakout guys. Yover DePaula is one. He did not have the year that he was expected to have in Arizona, and that's why he didn't come and play with Rancho, at least yet. Um, but I would say Yover DePaula is one that I think there's a lot of really high quality tools there. You got to get the bat to come around on it, and the Angels keep playing guys. I understand your expanding versatility and things, but if a guy is a shortstop, don't screw with him.
Yeah.
Don't send him over to second base or third base, or like they're doing it with Jason Horton down in the Dominican. I'm like, no, no, no. You guys just spent $2 million on this kid. Just keep him at shortstop. Like the other kids don't need reps, man. Like give Jason a day off and play him on that day. Like I hate that they had Yover playing second. Because every report I've had is that shortstop is just locked in. Um, Anthony Santa Cruz de Oviedo is a big name that is not only a
It is a
big
big
name,
name.
long name, but he's a bat that really produced well in Arizona. Biggest problem with him is kind of the Nolan situation is he hits the ball hard and it's in there, but he didn't leave the yard a ton. And you're waiting for him to make that turn. He's kind of hitting his physical peaks a little bit. He's probably limited to first base. Left field, right field returns weren't outstanding. Hard to say a first baseman, but those are the two names that always come up. Actually, I'm just trying to think of like Mikey Casino. I know it's a pitcher. I know it's a pitcher. You were asking position, but
No,
Mikey
no.
Casino, there's a reason he got sent to Rancho. There is absolutely a reason he got sent to Rancho Cucamonga. He's got some stuff, man. I think he's a reliever. I mean, I like didn't make the 30. But I'll tell you, he didn't make the 30, but he was close to it. And he's got some goods. That's a fun fastball. It's a good breaking ball. If he can find some command of it and find a third pitch, I might be a kid that makes a big jump next year. But there's like the team will tell you something, right? The team will always tell you something. Mikey Casino getting sent to Rancho, even with a 7 ERA down in Arizona, should tell you something. The fact that he's starting on Wednesday nights, it's a pretty big deal. Actually, Mikey's got Friday night. He might be starting Friday nights.
Oh, is he now? Okay.
Well,
Maybe
they went
maybe
Derek
find one
Murphy.
day.
Yeah, he's starting on Friday nights, man. Mikey Casino. I mean, I love CJ Gray. I feel like I could pick CJ, but I think most people know CJ at this point because I can't shut up about him. But yeah, if you're looking super sleeper types, yeah, Mikey Casino is probably my pick for super sleeper. Like to be a mass jump, but like you're talking about a Hayden Alvarez kind of jump kind of
No,
guy.
no, yeah, even just any. And I mean, one of the names I was wondering, gonna actually ask if he's gonna possibly have a big jump next year. Depending on his numbers when he probably moves over stateside next year, was Kendry Fana. How are the reports on him? Like that could be a
Yeah,
decent riser in the next year or two. I know you mentioned an arm, so going to him, is that someone we should keep an eye on next year?
the team will tell you things and the analysts will tell you things, right? Is Kendry Fana was not like directly mentioned as a top 30 guy in any
Mhm.
sense. Um, and then we get the May update, right? We get the May update, we get the June update, we get all that. And it's like, hey, what do you think of Fanya? Like, it was kind of like the team calling, like, what do you think of Fanya? And I'm like, I have a report. I'm like, I got a dead set report. And they're like, yeah, you should look at him. And it's like, they tell me, and I look at him, I'm like, hmm. And then obviously with all these new additions, right? You have to make room in the 30 and everything like that. There's a reason I kept him in there.
Yeah.
You know, he has a special fastball. It cuts well. It's a really fun fastball. He's got a velo bump. He's like sitting 93 to 95 right now. He's got some 97s. Pitched really well at he only threw 5 pitches at the All-Star game, but five really loud pitches that were memorable for some of the Baseball America team that was there. Um, the slider has a ways to go. Changeup's actually pretty good. I was surprised with the changeup. It might end up being something like a Ubaldo Soto type of scenario, but there's a reason we kept him around.
Yeah.
He gets down the mound really well, and that's a big deal for me, obviously, is guys that get down the mound well. Mikey Casino, another guy that really good mover. I mean, Trey Gregory Alford is my guy. Like, I love Trey, and I'm going to stick forever on it. But guys that have recoil, I'm not as big on. Guys that are fluid through and through, come down the mound well, on a line, consistency. It's a big deal for me. And Kendry Fania hits those bars. So yeah, it was a good name. It was a good pull. Good
Yeah.
pull.
So talking about pitching for the Angels, uh, Mike Maddox let go this week. I think that was a big surprise, probably for quite a few people. Maybe it was starting to get a little whispers for you or some other people closer, but I think Mozeliak had mentioned not really utilizing all the tools that at hand. Is that something moving forward where he also, gets someone he probably fully trusts, had around for 20 years in St. Louis, in as the new pitching coach for now? What were your initial thoughts when you kind of saw that breakout that Maddox and his group that he had put together were being let go?
It started somewhere.
Mhm.
You're gonna have to start at one point and then work your way to the final point. I mean, I've said it from the get-go. I think I've said it for a few times here. Is if Randy Flores isn't the Angels' next general manager, I don't really know if John Mozeliak had any say. So this is him getting his guys in before it's too late. I think is the big thing is he can get his guys in the door, give them a chance to look. I mean, I'm happy for Mikey Wirtz, really happy for Mike Wirtz, but getting your guys through the door, that's about it, man. Odd timing. Odd
Yeah.
timing. Maybe it's, maybe like he had a good excuse, and if that's the real reason, I mean, you look at Reed's comments after the day of, right? Reed Detmers comes out with his comments, and he's like, "Yeah, we didn't have everything that we wanted, and some guys want this, some guys don't. I would have liked to have had this, and I didn't get it." And it's like, okay, good. That's just the ace of your staff. He needs to have what he needs to succeed. So yeah, there's those kind of items, and that's important, but. I think this was a scenario of getting your guys in place before you're allowed to really make a decision. And like I said, I've said it on other shows, like with Randy Flores, he's got a contract with the Cardinals. He's got to fulfill that contract. After that, we'll see what happens. And the other thing with Randy Flores, he might get a job somewhere else. He's a very well respected guy. If he ends up not with the Angels, but he ends up with someone else on a similar position, a AGM or a GM or something, it's like, well, they just lost out because he wants a better gig. I don't know. But yeah, I think this was just getting your guys and getting your ducks in a row and figure it out.
Well, no, no, and I appreciate it. And it's one, like I said, weird timing was, I think, what rose so many questions amongst fans of just why now, after everyone had been kind of led to believe that everyone would be sticking around. Um, so then last question for you, not baseball related, football, full swing now at this point. Preseason, I think a week in. What is your Super Bowl pick? I know we're very, very early, but if you had to give one today, you hit on Hayden Alvarez last year, so we're going to take this to the bank and we can go put the money on it?
Um, Gosh, man, I could probably tell you more about Southern California football. Like, I could probably tell you more about not even the Trinity League. I could tell you about Inland Empire football more than I could tell you about the NFL. Um, eh, that starts next week, by the way. We're a
Oh,
week away from week 0. Can you believe that? Super Bowl prediction. Let's go Rams over. All hell breaks loose. Rams over Chargers, and they win 57-3.
you'll be able to get all of those updates
I
from all of that at the Sporting Tribune covering out
Yeah, no,
Southern
I do.
California
I don't do
sports.
football. Watch it. Hey now, no, I love football. I'm not. I used to. I mean, it was a every Sunday, every Monday, all day kind of thing for me. Saturdays too, but like it just hasn't been my thing as much
Yeah.
anymore. I don't follow. I mean, I've gone back to back to back fantasy football champion and not really cared a whole lot about it. So that kind of proves that fantasy is kind of a hoax. But like I'm a I was a Packers fan growing up, and Packers pissed me off, and I didn't like being upset, so I stopped watching football like entirely. And then the Rams came to LA, and I'm like, I'll jump on the bandwagon, whatever, and kind of like, yeah, when the Rams make it to like week 14, that's when I'll start watching.
Yeah. No,
But
that's
and
fair.
I'll still cheer for the Packers. Like I'll still cheer for them, but it's just like I didn't like being upset over really things I had no control over, so I just stopped watching football, and it really helped my psyche. So if the Angels really piss you off, just a little decision for a moment. I don't know, but
A lot
yeah.
of us could take that advice, trying to just care a little less about probably, like I said, things we can't control in sports, but sure, none of us will. We'll all be yelling,
I mean, was that even like a good do you football? Like, was
yeah,
that a good
yeah. I
pick? Like,
mean,
if
I
I went,
mean,
okay, so I'll say Rams over, yeah, the AFC. Rams over because I think the Rams are favorites, right? They're like
yeah,
supposed to be pretty
oh yeah,
good.
yeah. They added Miles Garrett. They had a great, add additions this offseason, fixed everything that was wrong with the team that probably was one of the favorites going into last year.
Oh, screw it. No, 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 dude. Greatest looking human being on the planet. Rams over Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is my boy.
Going with Trevor
My
Lawrence
boy,
for the
dude. I love Trevor
AFC.
Lawrence. He's my man crush. my celebrity crush, the works. So my wife is so pissed off because I like tall blondes.
Well,
Tall
hey.
blondes with a good cheekbone.
Oh, well, we learned more than just baseball today here. Now we know who you are, pining after every Sunday watching the
Oh man,
Jaguars.
I watch me some Jaguars football.
Well, no, and I appreciate everything. Again, can find your work, Sporting Tribune, Baseball America. Check out the book. If you want to let us know where to find you online, your socials, anywhere else that people can get at you to yell at you about your rankings and how you were wrong about, Trevor Lawrence being handsome, and they can let you know.
Sexy. I'm gonna use the word sexy, man. This is peak levels. Yeah, you guys can find me on socials at Taylor Blake Ward. Just keep it simple. I keep most of my stuff private, but not my X or my Blue Sky or anything that has to do with birds. So
No, perfect. Well, again, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for all tuning in to the Inside Halos podcast. For myself, Jacob Firmage, Taylor Blake Ward, we hope you have a great day. Thank you.